everyone. Welcome back to a little agency therapy. We're jamming today. The messaging that we're seeing on social media nowadays, it's all very lead generation focused. Do you feel like we're going to see kind of the shift or swing back the other direction?
No.
Free resources, lead magnets. The list is endless. Oh, it did flip. Oh, we are back, baby. Welcome back to a little agency therapy. I'm so stoked that you guys are here today. It's been a while. It's been a minute. We've been gone on hiatus. Took a little 2-week vacation over to Europe. I was gone. And then 2 weeks back-to-back traveling for events. We were at Traffic and Conversion Summit. Great event, by the way. A lot of people there. We got to see a lot of clients, got to see a lot of friends in the agency space. So had a blast out in Vegas. Did a little gambling. My business partner went off. Nicholas went off on the tables. He went crazy. He walked away with some cash moolah. And then we went to Atlanta, and Atlanta was excellent. Agency founders, Eddie Malouf, Ashton Shanks. If you guys have never been, go next year because it's a 10 out of 10 event. You'll learn a lot. You'll make great connections. You might land some business. You never know. But man, it's been back-to-back travel. And when I'm doing these like travel stints, and this is probably the most intense one that I've done, 4 weeks in a row, where I'm just bouncing around all over the place, different countries. Yeah, it's wild. But when I'm doing these traveling stints, it makes me remember how important my day-to-day routine is, and like getting back in sync feels so good. Feel so energized coming back into the full swing of things, back into agency therapy, and just looking for growth this year. So excited to bring you guys more content this year. Excited to be back in the groove of things. It's been a well-earned and much needed rest period for myself. I've been going pretty hard on the biz for the past few years here without much break. So it's exciting to be back though, and into consistency and routine once again. So appreciate you guys joining in today. If you're here in the chat, let me know. Would love to know that you guys are rocking and rolling with us. We got a little bit to cover today. Got about a 2-hour live stream planned out. Should be some fun stuff today. But overall, I'm just grateful to be back in action and back into routine. So we got a lot to cover today. We got a little marketing mayhem going on. We got to talk about a little cup brand. Okay. We got to talk about them. Okay. Then we'll be jumping into a little Guru Gauntlet as well. So if you guys are wanting to do some reacts to some of the other gurus in the space, give our feedback on it, give our perspective on it. Always a good segment. And then, of course, we're going into a little agency alchemy towards the end. So if you're here for the nitty-gritty details on building a stronger agency, well, that's what we're going to be covering towards the end of the stream. We'll probably kick that off right around 7 o'clock or so, maybe a little bit after 7. So we're in it for today. So I hope you guys are ready. Buckle in, baby. We're here for the ride. Glad to be back. Let's do a little share screen and let's just hop right in. There's no need to beat around the bush or pause any longer. Let's get after it. Okay. We got a little bit to cover today. I'm stoked for this first segment today. Stoked to jam with you guys. We're back, baby, with a little marketing mayhem. And if you guys aren't familiar with the marketing mayhem segment, usually marketing mayhem segment is all about two different things. One, celebrating some wins, people that are crushing it in the marketing space, but also talking about the latest drama and the losses that we're kind of seeing in the space currently. And we normally bring something on both sides, but today is unique and special because I just want to talk about one specific story today. And it's been a win, but there's been some drama involved in it as well, and some L's that were not involved specifically with this company. But today we're just talking about the victory lap. The victory lap is specifically around the brand Stanley. Now, if you guys have known any white girl over the past couple of the last 12 months or so, you've probably seen them walking around with a Stanley tumbler at some point in time. And I'm just gonna move my screen over here for a second. Yo, Lee Media in the building. Let's go. Let's go, dude. So you guys probably have seen these cups floating around. My wife has multiple of them. And it's funny. There was literally three of these tumblers by her bed this morning, all full of water. I don't know why you need three exactly, but there were three on her like nightstand / on the floor. So, but once again, this brand has been popping over the last few months, and I'm excited to dive into a little bit more of their success and a little bit more of their story, because I did not know that this brand has been around for as long as they've been around. And if you guys aren't familiar with this brand, or are kind of newer to the scene when it comes to these tumbler cups, this is what they used to look like right here. Old, Stanley cups, like kind of like the thermos style cup, and they've actually been around for 113 years, which is absolutely wild to me. I did not know that this brand's been around this long, and very successful brand for a very long time, but kind of hit this new influx, this new success over the past 12, 24 months, and it's just been an incline. And we've seen it all over social media, and their growth path has been immense. And if you guys aren't familiar, this is the thing that got them there right here, which is called the Quencher. What a horrible. I think it's a horrible name for a cup, but apparently it was the right name for the cup, because this is the product line right here, the Quencher, launched in a ton of different color schemes and sizes. I think they have two sizes right now that they're running, but this is the one right here that took them to the freaking moon. And these tumblers have just been flying off the shelves, and there's been a ton of content. We've seen a ton of news stories specifically on Stanley, the brand, over the last few months. We'll talk about a few of those here in just a minute. But part of their rise was not just the Quencher itself, but specifically this man right here, Mr. Terrence Riley. And if you guys aren't familiar with Terrence Riley, well, you should get familiar with him, because the man is an absolute freaking legend in the space. Let me tell you. Okay. So if you guys don't know Terrence, well, he is the CEO currently of Stanley, and has kind of led the marketing campaigns for Stanley, and has put this new precedent. And to give you guys an idea, in 2020, Terrence came in as a CEO. They were doing roughly $70 million in revenue, but they were kind of stagnant, right? Their growth was, they were growing, but they weren't growing substantially, right? And don't get me wrong, $70 million per year business is insane, okay? But this past year, how about a little 10x? $750 million generated in 2023 through this man's genius marketing strategy. And if you're not familiar with Terrence already, you might know him for his part in the brand Crocs. And if you guys know me very well, you know that I enjoy my Croc slides. But he played a huge part, and he was the CMO of Crocs before he came into the Stanley Corporation. So has had a lot of success in marketing, specifically in the influencer / affiliate space, and has brought his marketing mind into Stanley, and has grown them substantially over the past few years, in 10x, which is crazy. So to kind of give you guys a brief history real fast, Stanley as a company started in 1913, and really their turning point though was over this past year, and so they've really been taking like this viral sensation type action in the marketplace. And honestly, I think it's a combination of two things. One, incredibly good marketing mind and a marketing team internally at Stanley, but also I think they've fallen into some luck and some opportunities that they capitalized on 10x. And so to kind of dive into that part of the story and what I would call a social contagion of the marketplace. And essentially what we're witnessing with Stanley is just a ton of influencer marketing and essentially adopting all these things that are happening in the marketing place and using them not as a negative light, but as a positive light for the brand of Stanley. And so really what I want to jam on today is specifically one, they're leaning into influencer marketing because it has been one of the best influencer campaigns to date on the marketplace. And it's so funny because they really lean into this new demographic before these Stanley Cups, if you look up here, really made for like a lot of like the working class, a lot of the people in the, is it white collar, blue collar, what, like people that are working in factories, right? Lauer, watching from the plane. Let's go, man. Where are you going? Let me know. Let me know. But the whole idea of these cups, like it's for the rugged type worker. It's like you bring this thermos to work, your coffee or whatever it is, to work and it stays warm. And it was made for the working class, right? Well, they've kind of shifted, and as you could tell, I don't know if the working class is going to carry these things around with them, but their influencer marketing has really revolved around a couple different things, right? One being able to tap into a new audience, and that new audience being more of this like millennial, Gen Z type age, and utilizing influencers through Instagram, TikTok to run a lot of their social campaigns, right? Because we don't see a lot of paid advertising from them. What they do really lean into is more of this organic style content. Lowry, you're going to Norway? That's crazy, dude. Safe travels, bro. But what they're leaning into is more of this like organic style of content that they're utilizing big influencers, paying big influencers to essentially talk about the brand, right? And so I want to pull up a couple of their influencer campaigns here and people that they've partnered with because they're pretty solid. And if you look at the target demographic for Stanley, you'll notice that this is right on point. This is exactly who they go after. If you see anybody holding a Stanley Cup, chances are they look like these people inside of these ads. So let me pull up this one real quick. I couldn't do the embed on these. I don't know why it wouldn't let me embed them, but let me pull it up here. Da, 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 da. I gotta reshare this screen. Give me 2 seconds. Boom. All right, there we go. So this is one of the influencer campaigns. Let me refresh this real quick. Okay, this is for influencer named Hannah Brown, 2.7 million followers, but very classic, yoga pants, sports bra, fit influencer, rocking with her Stanley, day in the life type influencer campaign, right? Carrying your Stanley everywhere with her, but going after like what I would consider not these macro influencers like your, classic Kylie Jenners, people that have tens of millions, hundreds of millions of followers. They're going after these influencers that are, I wouldn't really consider them micro influencers, but they're between micro and macro influencers, right? They're kind of right in the middle. They haven't really engaged following, as you could tell here. Like this got 40,000 likes. I can't see the comments, but I'm sure I could scroll for days on the comments here, right? So going after influencers that have great engagement, that align with their ideal client profile, which we'll be talking about a little bit later today, and really getting their product in action. Now, this is a pretty heavily placed ad. I don't know if she has in here. Yeah, okay. So they did tag them, and then they normally say if it's an ad, yeah. And then they it looks like it was a blend of the Stanley brand and then Target as well. But once again, this has been something that's been really effective for them. Why? Because it literally taps directly into their ideal client profile, right? And it's people that follow that ideal client profile follows this influencer, right? So really good placement here, really good influencer campaign that they launched. I think it's a perfect demographic, perfect size profile to go after here. It probably wasn't cheap, but compared to a really large influencer who does a lot of ads, and this is what we're seeing now more in the marketplace, is the mistrust of some of the larger influencers. So they're kind of looking for more middle of the road, right? Because those large influencers, they get deals all the time, and these middle of the road influencers, right? They have a lot of trust built up with their audience. So that's the first one. I want to show you guys the second one as well because it's very similar, and you'll see the consistency across these two campaigns here. Tyler's soccer mom influencers. That's exactly what it is. But this is one very classic, like what I would consider like Nashville style with this influencer. And if we look at Lainey here, okay, another about 2 million followers on her account, right? So just looks like she's about it. Shine, right? Very Nashville-esque type influencer campaign. So they're hitting multiple demographics. Your fit influencer, maybe like fit mom influencer. And then you got your Nashville Southern influencer, right? So they're hitting a pretty wide scope, and it's solid marketing. I mean, they're everywhere. And with their types of products, like this is a very unique color scheme. I'm sure that this one crushed it for them. And especially with her outfit matching the color scheme, I'm sure it was all very much planned this way. But once again, it is in alignment with their ideal client profile. And you guys will notice as you build out ideal client profiles, you'll have different personas. So maybe one of their personas is like this Lainey Wilson, who is a Southern, and I don't know if she's a mom or not or what she does, but maybe a country artist or something. But anyway, is this person like famous? I would feel so bad if this was like a country star or something. I just don't know country music very well. But it is in alignment with one of their personas, which is more of like this Southern, either mom or Southern influencer. And then you have your fit influencer, right? That's a totally different persona. And so they're really targeting specific personas with these influencer campaigns, which I think is an extremely effective way to reach way more people than if you just had one persona. And I can guarantee you, if you got if we had a chance to talk with like the CMO of Stanley, and we asked like, hey, can you provide us your personas? I can almost guarantee that they will have 6 to 12 personas, maybe even more than that. But they will have built out personas internally of like, this is the ideal client profile for people that live in like the southern states, or this is the ideal profile for people that live in northern states, or more of like this like fit mom, right? So very interesting campaign. They've been crushing it on the influencer side. It's been really impressive to see the growth of Stanley. Like I've seen these things pop up all over the place. So that's a little bit on them leaning into their influencer marketing. Let me see if I have any other notes here to add into that. And really, it's just this one product, right? Like they have different color waves, of course, but like the quencher is the main product that they're pushing here. Now, let's talk a little bit about outside of the influencer space, how they're also getting traction with just what I would consider like brand wildfire, which is like these perfect conditionings aligning with them that allow them to stay top of mind in the marketplace. Okay. One of the first ones that happened to them, and I can almost guarantee you guys saw news stories about this right here, was a car fire that happened to some female. And she made this TikTok video of her Stanley and her pulling her Stanley. These are TikTok, so I was able to embed these. Maybe. There we go. But she was able to, as soon as I move it, it stops. Okay. She was able to pull her Stanley out, and her Stanley relatively unharmed outside of the plastic straw or whatever. And then here is our friend. What was his name again? Terrence. There we go. Here's our friend Terrence talking about the cup, and they actually paid and sent her a new Stanley, but also bought her a car, which is absolutely insane. And so CEO of Stanley reaches out, hey, we're going to, one, get you a new car, but we're also going to provide you a couple new Stanleys as well. This popped off on TikTok, 6.9 million likes, 65,000 comments, 146 shares as well. So a perfect example of taking something that happened in the space, and honestly, something that's kind of negative, right? And unfortunate for someone, and being able to utilize that on a social media platform and find an angle to where they could support someone and someone, a brand like Stanley who's doing $750 million a year, just getting someone a new car as well as providing them some new Stanleys as well. Not a huge issue for them to provide a new vehicle for someone for the reach that this got. And I can almost guarantee that it would have been more expensive to pay for this type of reach. Okay, 55.7 million views on this video. It would have been way more expensive for them to purchase a campaign through like another influencer that could provide this. Like if they did this through Mr. Beast, it would have been a six-figure campaign for sure. Like no doubt in my mind, it would be a six-figure campaign. But they were able to find an angle, utilize someone else's content of them saying, okay, our Stanley survived, and then turning that into their own content. And it just goes absolutely viral because they gave away a free car, right? And I can guarantee you the car that they gave away was probably around $50,000, right? So discount campaign for the amount of views that they were getting. Now let's look at some other things as well. One of their launches recently was this Valentine's Day launch with these Stanley Cups. It was like pink, red, and there were posts all over the place about these campaigns and how viral people were going from. Look at how many that they're grabbing. 3, 4 tumblers right off the shelf. And these things were gone within probably 15 minutes of them getting out on the shelf and the store opening. And so they're releasing these different color waves as well. But once again, there's someone in the store recording this and it's getting shared by someone that doesn't even work for the brand. Like they didn't even get paid to share something like this. And it got 32.8 million views on it, right? For free, probably. So absolutely wild, the virality and how much people are leaning into this brand right now. And even on these new releases, right? People are just rushing the stores to go grab new releases. Even their Facebook groups. So I found this Facebook group. I just wanted to see if there were like communities out there dedicated to Stanley. And sure enough, it's like they have entire Facebook groups. And I don't know if Stanley specifically runs this one, but 28,000 members inside of Stanley Tumblr's BST. I don't know what BST stands for, but a whole group, 20,000 people dedicated to a Tumblr brand, right? People are head over heels for this brand. And then the latest story, which is the thumbnail, which probably is the thing that got you guys here, right? Is the latest story that came out about these guys. And this one's kind of wild. And I got a couple notes on it as well. Is specifically on earlier this week, a police officer pulled over a car and inside they found $2,500 worth of Stanleys, roughly 65 tumblers. And essentially, this was in California, by the way. Essentially, someone cleaned out a store, stole all of these Stanleys, and just loaded them up in their car. And I don't know how they got so many into their car without being seen, but maybe they stole like a few at a time and just walked them out of the store. But completely cleared a store of all of their Stanleys. Packed them up in the car. You see the trunk's completely full. They have a bunch of them set out on the cop car as well. I'm sure there was some in the back seat. I think it was 65 Stanleys in total that these cops uncovered. $2,500 worth of stolen Stanleys. Once again, and I can almost guarantee we're going to see something from this, but viral sensation on the news. We're going to see some probably virality on TikTok. I'm even making content about it right now. I mean, there's a lot of different angles that Stanley could play into this, and it just continues to happen. It continues to stack. Now, similar things happened with Crocs, right? If you look at the trajectory of Crocs and how they took their business from where they were, say, 5-6 years ago to where they are at today, there's been so much virality. You know how many memes that I get from people who say like, hey, you should have this type of Croc, right? Because I wear Crocs and I love Crocs. But it's insane to see the same trend kind of happening and the genius of the CMO and CEO of this brand. And it's not by accident. I feel like this is very curated and intentional. Now, of course, like this stuff is not curated here with like the people stealing. Like that's not something that they're planning, but they lean into it when it does happen. And so when these brands have these moments of virality, they are really leaning into them and making sure that they're getting the most out of viral moments. And that's what is making this brand really take off. So hats off to the marketing team over at Stanley. Terrence Riley is a legend. I was trying to find him on LinkedIn. Couldn't find him on LinkedIn. Trying to figure out a way to potentially set up an interview. That'd be really fun. It's like these are the type of people that kind of fly under the radar, and some of their genius is not really talked about. So if you guys know how I can contact Terrence Riley, we'll get him on a podcast episode at some point. That would be really fun. So, but that is our marketing mayhem for today. We just had the victory lap today, and it goes to Stanley. They had a crazy come up over the past 3 years. Excited to see how their virality continues to take form. And let's see if they get to the $1 billion mark. That would be wild. So, and if anyone can do it, Terrence Riley can do it. All right, that's our marketing mayhem for today. We're moving on. We got our Guru Gauntlet up next. Hope you guys are ready to. Yo, what's up, Peter? Hope you're doing well, brother. Hope you are crushing it. Going through the Guru Gauntlet today, we got a couple of videos that I wanted to watch. I just pulled some random ones off the internet. I haven't watched these yet, so I'm excited to jump in with you guys. But if you guys aren't familiar with this segment at all, the whole idea of the Guru Gauntlet is to do kind of like a reacts type segment where we can go watch some other people's content, specifically in the agency niche, give some feedback on it, talk about maybe some of the differences where we come in and do things slightly different in our agencies or how we consult on things. But first one that we're going to be covering today is from our good friend, Jordan Platten. I actually do not know Jordan Platten, but have heard really great things about what he does and the agencies that he helps. So he'll be the first one that we're reviewing today. And then a little bit larger YouTube account as well. He's pretty successful on YouTube. And then the second one that we're going to be covering today is this younger entrepreneur. The thumbnail caught me, 150 plus sales with the sales deck. So we're going to go through a sales deck. I'd love to see kind of what he's running on his sales deck that has kind of led to his success so far. So we'll be covering both of those today. So let's just jump into it. Start off with Jordan Platten first. Title of this one, guys, How to Get Ahead of 99% of SMA Owners in 2024. So let's see what Jordan has to say about it. Real quick, as I play this video, will you guys just let me know if you can hear it? Just give me a thumbs up when I start playing it, and let me know if you can hear the sound. All right, let's hop in. Peter said, listening while I work. Love these weekly live videos, man. Sweet, let's do it, man. Glad you're enjoying the content. I appreciate it, brother. I'm glad they come back for it. Oh shoot, I gotta hit the unmute button. Maybe I'll open this up in a different window. I think that would actually probably be easier. He actually just posted this one today. This is a relatively new video. All right, let me know if you guys can hear that. Peter, let me know if you can hear this. No audio? Oh shoot. Okay, hold on. Time out. Gotta get the audio in there. That's why. Okay, cool. All right, you should be able to hear audio now, and we'll restart.
The vast majority of agency owners will never make it to 10K.
Peter, give me the green light if you hear that.
100K. So what is it that they know that you don't? Now, I've personally worked with hundreds of 6- and 7-figure agency owners, and over the years, I've recognized patterns of behavior that separate those that win and those that lose. And that's exactly what we're going to be going through today. So let's get stuck straight into this and waste no time. Now, first of all, I want to make this clear. This video is not about setting goals and sticking to them. It's not about cutting out bad habits from your life, and it's not about delaying gratification. Albeit all of these things are incredibly important to your success. But this video today is about doing what others won't, so you can do what others can't. So you can have what others can't have.
He's kind of getting me juiced up. I'm not gonna lie. I love these type of videos. Let's go.
So you can sign the top 1% of clients. So you can deliver the top 1% of results. And as a result of that, make the top 1% of revenue. And in order for us to achieve that goal, we need to do what other agencies aren't doing right now. We need to differentiate ourselves from the mass market, from what everybody else is doing. And
if he's gonna start talking about market leader positioning, Jordan Platten is my new favorite person, and I'll literally subscribe to his channel after this.
We can do that through our niche, through our service, through our unique offer, and through the messaging of our brand. And ultimately, we want to challenge what everybody else is doing in this space. And this is a statement that is easier said than done as a complete beginner. I completely recognize that. Our very nature when we are starting something new is to go out there and find someone we can replicate, to find a proven path that we can copy. And in many cases, that is the absolute correct thing to do in the early stages of launching an agency. Find a path that has already been proven. Find a blueprint and stick to that until you get initial results, until you get initial proof of concept. But then very quickly, you need to challenge.
He does a really good job of having just like a very convicted voice. I kind of fuck with Jordan Platten. He's incredible at the YouTube side of things. Super crisp, clean, very concise type content. So excited to see what he jumps into.
The lessons in which you have been taught. You need to challenge the way that you are actually doing things. So when I first started my agency, I literally went out to every company in my local area. I was spraying, just literally spray gun effect in my local area, signing up every single client that I could, regardless of their niche. I had a kitchen, I had a kitchen and bathroom showroom, I had a restaurant, which was my first client, I had a jeweler's, I had a dentist, I had a hair transplant clinic. This literally goes on, and not all of them I got great results for. But in having this scattergun strategy, what I did was I found very quickly which businesses I enjoyed working with, which businesses I knew how to get great results with, which ones
So when I started my agency, we did something very similar. We had a point in the agency, especially when we were first getting started, where we didn't really know what we wanted to niche down to. Eventually we did find our niche in the e-com direct-to-consumer space, and it was excellent for us. But before that, man, we were doing so many different projects. We were working with toy brands that were in like Walmart. We were working with like real estate agents. We were shooting drone videos. And so I completely align with what he's saying on, you kind of have to go like shotgun approach and like try some stuff, figure out who you can actually serve. And then, eventually what happens is you narrow it down. And what I like, especially in my experience, is like we narrowed down specifically into direct consumer e-commerce. Right. And so I totally understand where he's coming from on this point, and can 100% back him on this, and saying that you do have to find a niche eventually. But when you first get started, it's more like a shotgun approach, and it's a very wide net that you're casting to see who you can actually solve a problem for.
Was able to build the better relationships with, and I learned in my unique circumstances the best path for me to move forward with within my agency based on my own personality and my own self-motivation. Now, what I identified after months of trial and error in my agency was that there was a gap in the market for people reaching out to e-commerce businesses.
Boom. Right there. And that's the exact gap that we found as well. But our gap in the marketplace was specifically around content creation. And so we were one of the largest distributors of like paid ad content, direct response content for e-commerce brands at the time. We'd pump out anywhere between 60 and 80 pieces of content every single week through our studio and our team. And really no one else was doing that at the time, where it was like a high volume of content. I think your Harmon Brothers were around at the time, your Chamber Medias were around at the time, but really none of, there weren't really agencies out there that were producing what I would consider like kind of like mid scale content. So what I mean by mid scale is kind of the it's still a high production, but it's not a high production like a Harmon Brothers style video where it's like very storyline based. It's very direct response driven, and more centered around 30, 45-second advertisements. High volume of content created with a lot of testing involved and trying to figure out and crack what the winner was. So we found that niche and we found that gap in the marketplace. So 100%, if you guys are starting an agency, like you have to be able to navigate and find these gaps. And especially with how saturated the agency space is right now, it is very hard to find a gap that has not been hit yet. And so really a lot of it is being able to outperform your competition. And having the conviction and being able to roll into a sales conversation and making someone believe that you can deliver the result. And then after that, you have to actually be able to deliver that result, right? So
And so I actually pivoted my agency and I started working with e-commerce businesses. And of course, gradually we were still working with lead generation companies at the same time. But over time, I signed more and more e-com clients and I realized the opportunity that I had. And then I positioned myself in the early stages as an industry leader in the e-commerce agency space. And that's why we still maintain that position to.
So that's what we call it. And I've done some live streams on market leader positioning before, but that is literally what you're trying to be in any business that you start, whether you're starting consultancy, any service-based business, any agency, right? The whole idea is to position yourself as a market leader and as a trusted person inside of the space. That's why even I do these live streams or I put out content. We do, content on pretty much every platform now, but that's the whole idea of doing stuff like this is that you start to solidify yourself as a market leader in the space and someone that is trusted in the space and can deliver the results that you say that you can deliver, right? Like that's just how it works, right? And if the positioning is off, and this is why we spend a lot of time with our clients on their positioning. It's literally one of the first exercises that we do is just refreshen and tighten up the positioning to make sure that there is a differentiation from all the other competitors in the space. Peter, you mentioned Amen. I think something is happening with CRO in the e-com space, and it's starting to bleed into SaaS and info products. Yeah, I think on the CRO side, I think AI is definitely going to affect the CRO space at some point. I think it's a little ways out, but I have heard of some people starting to dabble in the ability to have AI essentially run CRO for e-commerce brands, which is kind of wild. So I could definitely see. How positioning is really going to matter for CRO agencies here in the near future.
This day, but only from my ability to think outside of the box and break the chains in which I was initially taught and constricted to. But so many agency owners and many of you guys watching this right now don't break those chains even when you find initial success. So yes, stick to a blueprint that has been proven and follow that religiously. Stick to it day in, day out and do the micro tasks that are going to get you that macro result. But remember, if you want to get ahead of the rest, if you want to get the top 1% of results, if you want to make 100 grand a month and not just a couple of grand and replace your income, you need to do what others aren't doing right now so you can have what they can't have. Because if you are sat in a saturated market, in a saturated niche, a beginner niche like so many of us go for, like home improvements or kitchen and bathrooms or gyms or dentists, for example, the list goes on, aesthetic clinics, all of these generic niches when you're first starting out. Offering a generic service is going to be very hard.
And a lot of times these holes in the market that he's talking about, they're usually going to be around like the boring businesses. And I know you mentioned a couple, but the holes in the market do tend to revolve around more of your boring businesses, right? Things that people don't really think about. Like everyone wants to run an e-commerce agency. Everyone wants to do lead generation for some of these service businesses that are large and more of a sexy service-based business, right? But what people often don't think about is the holes in the market of people that are underserved or there's not a service out there to help them generate leads or generate results that they're looking for. So I get it. I get where he's talking about. It is tougher now than it was, say, 2 or 3 years ago because it is so oversaturated because I mean, like Jordan Platten and people like Joel Kaplan and Iman Gadzhi, right? There's a lot of saturation as far as like new agency owners coming into the space, especially young agency owners. And so there's a lot of noise and with a lot of new people coming in, the results aren't the best. And so with that oversaturation comes a lot of mistrust. And so just once again, supporting Jordan here on what he's saying. Like, hey, you have to be positioned differently. You have to speak a different language, because chances are there's probably someone already in your niche that has burnt a lot of clients. So very interesting topic to chime in on. This is something that I've been a huge supporter of since starting my agency, and something that we focused a ton on was our positioning.
Hard for you to differentiate yourself and make the top percent of revenue in your industry. Now, can you differentiate in a competitive market? Absolutely. Okay, you can be working with estheticians, for example, and then offering a unique service. For example, when the first couple of agencies came along and started offering an appointment setting service, where they didn't just generate leads on Facebook ads for their clients and send them over a list, but they then started actually calling up those leads as well and physically booking them onto the calendar, those agencies cleaned up. But now it's the norm to create or offer an appointment setting service, right? So what's next? So what do you want to be thinking about? How can I differentiate? How can I go a step further? Do I do a pay per show? Do I do a pay per sell? Can I get involved in the sales process entirely? Can I get involved in other areas of their business and see myself as a growth partner?
Yeah, I think that's the next evolution, is getting involved in the sales process itself and actually closing the deals for these. Because here's the thing, is like, when you don't have full control, and this is the good thing about e-commerce that lead generation unfortunately does not have, is that e-commerce is sale from, or lead generated in, and then all the way to the sale, where it's like they just get on the store, and you could attribute that sale back to the lead gen. And you could still attribute sales, but you're not in control of the sales process at all. Like, you could give someone recommendations in e-com, specifically on their website, how to convert, essentially do some CRO and get better conversion rates on their site. And you have more control over that than you do with something like lead gen, where it's, hey, we're going to bring the lead to you. Hey, we'll even set the appointment. They're going to walk into your office and you guys will do the consult. But it's like, from that point, you're hands off and there's no control. So I think really the next evolution for lead gen agencies is like soup to nuts. Like, we're going to generate the lead, we're going to book the appointment, and we're going to close it for you. And they're going to show up at your clinic already paid, ready to go. And all you have to do is your job as, the dentist or esthetician or doctor, whatever it might be, right? That is the next level when it comes to lead gen. And I think the people that can crack that are going to win at a different level that we haven't seen before.
What can I do to differentiate myself from everybody else that's working in this same industry as me? And this is the same questions that you want to be asking yourself. What am I doing right now to stand out from my competition? Am I unique, or do I blend in? And start asking yourself these questions. In fact, every single week you should allocate time, ideally every day, to critical thinking time, and write down 2 to 5 questions based on your current circumstances, based on the hurdles that you are trying to overcome right now. And you'll be shocked at how quickly you can come up with unique solutions to the issues that you are facing. How quickly you can start thinking critically on getting yourself outside of the box in which everybody else is constricted to. Okay, and again, we don't just have to restrict ourselves to differentiating from our niche. It can be our service, it can be our offer, it can be our messaging, it can be our culture. This business model is so versatile. So think outside of the box and start challenging what everyone else is doing. And when you
nailed it on the head, to be honest. I love it.
Do that, and you come up with unique ideas, and you write them down, and you want to apply them, do not go and seek approval from anyone that isn't already in the position that you want to be in. This is such a fundamental mistake that I have made countless times in my business career. You have an incredible idea and you're pumped up and you know in your heart and in your gut that this is a great idea, and you go and ask your partner and you go and ask your friend who's not even in the industry and you say, hey, what do you think of me doing this? And they start challenging you because they're intimidated by your ideas, they're not giving you the feedback that you want, and they are just simply not qualified to give you the advice that you need in that critical moment that you need it the most. It is like going out there and asking a randomer on advice on how to climb a mountain, okay? You would go ask a mountaineer on advice on how to climb a mountain. You wouldn't trust your life in the hands of someone that's never climbed a mountain before. So why would you trust your future in your business and your mindset in the hands of someone that has not achieved that very same thing that you're trying to achieve in business? So only ask for validation or seek approval or validation from your mentors and people that have already achieved what you're trying to achieve, already successful agency owners. This is very important because most people
So this is something that I've seen like the guru space specifically is like these top end gurus kind of going after like the low end gurus of like, hey, this is how you make your first $10,000 per month. Um very I mean, I agree with them, right? It's like but here's the thing is like people still need help that are just getting started. And honestly, like we're cool. Like I'm cool with like this like younger generation stepping in and kind of stepping into like this consultant slash guru for this new young generation that's entering into the online marketing space. Because here's the thing: is like there's levels to it, right? And as they grow, of course, they're going to get better at what they do. And Jordan Platten has been around in the space for a very long time, has had a lot of success in the space, and so like of course he has a different level of conviction and a different level of result he can deliver because he's just done more in general, right? And so, but at the same time, it's like even the beginners need the guru. And I think Jordan has some stuff that is priced for pretty much everyone, but I understand where he's coming from. I mean, you should definitely be careful who you listen to in this space because I mean, some people are just flat out have never done what they said they've done, right? So you got to be a little bit careful on who you trust in this space. And hey, I question everything. And even if you guys are listening to this live stream or have listened to anything that advice or tactics that I've implemented in my own agency, like question everything. Like at the end of the day, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and what I provide here is what has worked for us personally, whether it was within our agency or within our consultancy. We've built quite a few seven-figure businesses between myself and my partner, and like that's our scope, right? And that's what we've been able to do for us, and so we teach other people how to do that now.
People unknowingly will shoot down your idea from their own intimidation, from their own insecurity, with no malicious intent whatsoever. But the damage is already done to you, and you start doubting what you previously felt like an incredible idea. So make sure you do not seek approval from people that are not qualified and are not in the position that you want to be in. And you have to be prepared to fail a lot. When you're pioneering, when you're doing something new for the first time, when you're challenging the norm, you're gonna fail an awful lot. I've failed countless times over the years in so many different ventures within my agency, in niche tweaks, in offer tweaks, in a new service that we're offering, and hiring certain team members that are outside of the box. And I have failed time and time again, and I welcome every single failure that comes to me. That is why I maintain a top tier position in this industry, because failures are not failures to me. Every single one of them is a lesson, and I'm harder and I'm stronger after every single failure that I encounter. And this is the same for every single successful person. So few had this straight path to success. Thomas Edison attempted to build the light bulb or invent the light bulb over 1,000 times before he found the right formula, okay, creating that bulb. J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter, she went to 12 different publishing places over years in order to finally get accepted for someone to say, yes, I'm going to publish this book. And James Dyson, who invented obviously the Dyson Hoover, 5,000 renditions of that Hoover before he then got it right and people started buying it and he became a billionaire. If any of those people gave up on those initial hurdles, if any of those people took those failures as straight dead failures, then they would never be who they are and have built the legacy that they have. So next time you get rejected on a sales call and you think to yourself, oh, I'm not cut out for this, or next time you sign up a client and you fail to get them results and you say to yourself, oh, Facebook ads don't work, think of those people, get back on the horse, suck it up and fail some more. Failure drives the top 1%. Okay.
For sure. And here's the thing is like I don't think that fear of failure or the feeling of losing ever goes away. Even at like six figures, multi six figures, even getting into the seven-figure range per month. It's like those fear of failure is going to stay around, but it's your ability to feel it, understand it, and be self-aware enough to be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and then just be able to move through it, right? It's like I'm pretty sure Jordan would agree that even at the success level he's at and the things that I've done, it's like you still feel these points of failure, especially when you let a client down or you didn't deliver at your top capacity, or you don't land a client that you should have landed. I mean, yeah, like it feels a lot like failure. And so the biggest thing is like the only way is through. Like that is really what it comes down to. So if you're wanting to build a business, know that there is a lot of failure that does come along with it. And you can't be emotionally tied to the result. This is something that a lot of entrepreneurs really struggle with, is the emotional side of running a business. And you can't be emotionally tied to the result, because everything that led to the result was a formula to what you put into it, right? All of your inputs up into that point, everything that you've done up at that point, all the action that you've taken is going to lead to the result, and you can't be disappointed in the result. Like, there's no point in beating yourself up over the result and not hitting goals or losing a client, right? That's the end result. The only thing you can do is reflect on the result and say, how did we get here and how can we change and get better?
Okay, I've got some bonuses here for you guys. You have to run everything by the numbers in an agency. You have to. You cannot run this business by your gut. You can't.
Data is everything. Data is everything inside of an agency. If you're not looking at the data regularly, you're navigating blindly, right? And it's basically just guessing. It's guesswork at that point. So 100% pay attention to your data.
Any business by gut feel alone, especially when you are testing and challenging the norms within an industry and doing things for the first time, okay? You have to track absolutely everything. If you're acquiring clients by cold calling, then you need to write down every single day how many dials you're making, how many pickups you had, okay? How many people then said, yes, I'll have a meeting with you. So you can establish your meeting set rate. So you can compare that to other niches that you're testing out. And you can cross-reference that data to truly know what actually works. Not look back on your final 2 weeks and be like, oh yeah, I was calling home improvements last week and it felt like I was getting more pickups. Or, oh yeah, I started calling restaurants this morning and actually I definitely got more pickups. No, what does the data say? Because numbers do not lie. Your gut and your brain does lie to you. Your emotions will lie to you. You have to track absolutely everything. Your cold call data, your email data, your DM data, your ad results, just like you would for your clients. Okay, track every single piece of data that you absolutely can. If there's a number attached to it, track it. And then get used to analyzing that data weekly and at the very least monthly, okay, and cross-analyzing between the things that you are doing. Create spreadsheets for the different areas of your business. We have tons of them inside of our program in the academy. You have to get used to running your business by the numbers. It's the only thing that matters. And finally, use AI for everything. And I literally mean everything. If you're first starting out and you're competing against someone else in the industry who is not using AI, you're going to be so much more efficient and be moving so much faster than that individual. Start treating AI like your virtual assistant, okay? Like your personal assistant that can help you with absolutely any task, that never gets burnt out, that you don't have to pay, that doesn't work only a certain amount of hours in the day, that'll work 24/7, 7 days a week. What I do to get into the habit, how I originally did, is I opened up AI, and I've still got it right now on my right side of my monitor. In fact, I've actually created recently a chatbot for our private community called ChatGPT, okay, Jordan Platten.
Cool.
Creative, I know, right? Original. And this chatbot, precisely, this is optimized around all of the content that we have in our private community, in our programs, on the YouTube channel. And so now I can jump back and forth with all of the information in my own brain. So this is a replication of myself that I can use on a daily basis and go back and forth. Okay, now this puts me at a massive unfair advantage. And now everybody in our community gets access to this second brain, ChatGPT, as well. So if you're in the community and you're watching this, check the school post and you'll see how to get access to that. But at the very least, for those of you that aren't with us, get in the habit of using ChatGPT and make sure it's ChatGPT-4 so it can access the internet. Have it open on a separate monitor, always there so you can see it. And just get in the habit of, when you're doing your daily tasks, of using it. And you'll be shocked at how much more efficient you will be in your daily operations.
Really good for content creation.
And start using,
especially like, do we crank on content now? So use it, and abuse it.
Custom GPT. This is a new functionality. Okay, you can now preload your own custom GPT modules with context, with information, and you can create your own versions of ChatGPT, your own chatbots within the system, okay? So let's say, use case, for example, you sign up a client and you preload all of the relevant information for that specific client, their website, their offers that have worked before, the copy that you've used in ads that have worked particularly well, and even just load it with some of their previous email campaigns. It's got all this context on that client now. Now, all you need to do when you go into ChatGPT is click on that client's custom GPT that you created, and any task, when you want to create new ads, when you want to create new copy, all of it there straight away with this AI assistant fed with the information that it needs to give you the best output, okay? And get into the habit of doing that in all areas of your business, be it sales, be it your clients, be it your operations, okay? If you want me to create a future video on custom GPTs, drop down a comment and I will see what I can do for you guys. But get into the habit of using AI for absolutely everything and you'll be so much more efficient in everything that you do. And efficiency is everything, especially considering we are right at the infancy, right at the start of this AI trend. So if you want to get ahead, you need to stay ahead. Now guys, I want to leave you with one final question today. Are you today doing what 99% of other people are not prepared to do? The answer is no. Get to work.
Let's go. Got me amped. Got me amped for the year, baby. Jordan Platten, savage, dude. Let's subscribe to him real quick.
Choosing your niche is probably the
Always got to support people, you know? It's always tough to make content consistently. He does a really good job of it, too. All right. Number 1 in the books, Jordan Platten gets the pass on the Guru Gauntlet. Crush it, bro. He probably won't watch this, but he did crush it. The dude's a savage. All right, our second one here, best SMMA sales presentation in 2023. Got me over 150 clients. Now, I will say going into this video, guys, your sales presentation is not the thing that wins deals. The ability to create trust and rapport and being able to make sure that the client feels as if where they're currently at and where they're trying to go, that your solution is the thing that bridges the gap between those two things. Like that's why people sign up with you, not from a sales deck. So I'm interested to jump into this one. Let's see what I can't remember what this dude's name is, but let's jump in. I'm sure his name's on his YouTube channel. Let's take a look here.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, Dylan Wilson, 9.5K views. Posted this 8 months ago. 10 comments. All right, let's hop in. Let's see how good the deck is.
I don't care if you've been in the game for 3 hours or if you've been in the game for 3 years. What I'm going to share with you in this video is going to change the way you sell. It is the best demo presentation that you could possibly use to sell more SMMA clients. Now, in this video, I'm going to reveal the pitch that I used in order to sell the majority of the over 200 clients I work with. I'm also going to share how I developed this, and then I'm going to share the conversation that I had with 100.
Dude actually works with 200 clients, SMA clients, which depends what niche he's in, of course. Dude's raking it in.
$50,000 a month closer who helped me shape the way I think about this. And at last, I'm going to give you guys a live walkthrough / demo of what this actually looks like.
Ooh,
now, real quick, before we get into
no.
it, I wanted to give you a friendly reminder that I'm a selfish, greedy individual who only posts content on YouTube in hopes that I can get your money. The good news is that I don't want it just yet. See, I partner and make all my money with 6-figure SMMA owners, and I help everybody else get there for free. Yes, I have a free coaching program, I have a free community, I have free courses. You can check all that, links in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the sauce. All right, so the best presentation to sell in SMMA, also known as social media marketing agency. Anyways, I was in the second year of scaling my agency and I hit a financial plateau. And although in hindsight, I should have been more grateful because I'll admit, I was doing a good amount of money for a 20-year-old kid. But I didn't care. I just wanted to make more money. And for all you high achievers out there, you're going to relate to this, right? You might be above average in every single aspect of life, but you still have that gnawing feeling inside you that you're not doing enough. And that is what I was dealing with, okay? So I began to look into hiring a coach in order to break through this plateau. And after a few sales calls, I ended up pulling the trigger on a program that costed the equivalent to a luxury vehicle. And as I joined, I realized they had a
Wonder who he joined.
different way of selling than what I was used to personally. And because I was so desperate to get to this next level, I took blind faith and I dropped everything to learn their new method of selling. And after a few coaching calls and hours of consumed content, I crafted the perfect demo presentation. Then I launched my agency, scaled my outbound, and I waited for the appointments to roll in. Within 24 hours, I had appointments on my calendar. Finally, it was time to test this proven sales demo. And I bombed the sales call, but I didn't quit. One call, don't close, whatever. Get over it, move on. But 10 calls later, I was 0 for 10. This is when I started to panic. This is when I began to get a little bit frustrated. And on my 12th call, I was desperate for the sale. I refused to let this poor prospect who had responded to an ad leave, and I hard sold him for an hour. I handled every objection with some witty, made-up canned response that he had. Whatever he threw at me, I had something for him. But it didn't work. And soon later, I ended up leaving this program. And I was starving for a win. So I reverted back to my old ways of selling with a few minor tweaks. And then I launched a database reactivation campaign, which, if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's basically when you blast out an email or a text message to all the past leads that you've had or all the people that you've hopped on a sales call with in the past, and you make them a special one-time offer. And the guy who I tried to hard sell not too long ago actually agreed to speak with me again, which I'll be honest, I was a little surprised. And soon into the call, he told me, "You are so much more delightful to speak with." And 20 minutes in, he said, "I would love to work with you." So, are you wondering what this new demo deck was that I used the second time
Let
around?
me know. Get me in there.
It was to not have a demo deck and to do messy presentations instead. Just like your room. Okay, let me explain. Recently, I attended a mastermind full of seven-figure SMMA owners, and while I was there, I met Zay, who was a high-ticket closer for an HVAC agency doing $150,000 a month. He told me I would never show a prospect a demo deck. I would have to create 25 different demos for different prospects, which is why he would never do it. What does that mean? Well, think of your product or service like a bottle of Tylenol, right?
So he's probably going to talk about prescription here in a second, but 100%, like, this is the dangerous thing about demo decks is, like, you try to solve a specific problem and you put the prospect in a box. And that's why, if we ever use demo decks, essentially what we teach on the demo deck side is like, hey, based off of your discovery and understanding their pain points and problems, you need to be able to navigate your deck in a way that solves that problem, right? Because it's not going to be a one size fits all solution. You need to be able to address the problems during the demo versus just going through a demo deck and be like, hey, this is like the blanket of like how we do things, right? Like, things have to be more directed to their pain points. So hopefully he talks about that. It's entertaining so far.
Tylenol has the ability to solve a lot of problems. It can help you when you're sick. It can help you when you broke your arm. It can help you deal with a lot of problems that you may have. But you are only going to choose the Tylenol that claims to solve your specific problem, okay? And your service may solve.
We call this prescription, right? So when you enter into sales conversations, like a broad generalized service is not what they're going to be looking for. They're looking to solve a specific problem. And if you can solve a specific problem and you can prescribe the medicine, and we kind of put this in a doctor frame, just like he kind of did with Tylenol there, of, hey, like, you don't go into the doctor's office and they just hand you a bottle of Vicodin, right? That's just not how it works. What they do is they figure out, hey, like, where's the pain at? Are you hurting in your arm and your leg? Like, do you have something going on with your stomach and on your head? Like, they're going to ask you questions, right? And they're going to figure out what the pain points are. And then from there, they're going to say, okay, based off of what you've told me and the assessment that I've done, here's exactly what you need.
10 different problems. But people only buy to solve one of their problems, right? Back to the Tylenol example. You go there to solve your headache,
Wrong there.
right? You go there to try and fix your cough or your headache or whatever it is. But if you're going there to try and fix your cough or your headache, you don't care that the Tylenol also helps you with coughs, because that's not a problem that you're trying to solve, okay? And if you have a demo that talks about problems that your prospect doesn't have, they'll think it's not for me. So in order to deliver a high converting pitch, you need to do these two things instead. Number one is you must have a framework.
Yeah, I like this. So framework definitely over like a script. So very opposed to having a script that you follow on any type of sales call, but you should have some sort of framework, right? So like a rough guideline of how the call should go, but being able to navigate the framework based off of what the prospect is telling you.
Framework that you can follow, not a script, but a framework that you can follow.
There
And
it is,
number
right there.
two is you need stuff to show. And I'm going to break this down for you in this video. But first, I wanted to remind you that I'm a selfish, greedy individual. And I partner with six-figure SMMA owners and scale them from beyond there. Now, selfishly, I only post content on YouTube in hopes that one day that you will give me your money. I just don't want it yet, okay? What I'm willing to do is I'm willing to help you get to six figures for free because I know that you may potentially want to partner with me then. And how I do that? Well, first of all, we've got the first client challenge where you can get 1 to 3 SMMA clients in 13.84 days. That is simply a statistic. I don't say that as a claim. You might suck or you might crush it and get it in 2 days. Only time will tell. Anyways, link in the description for that. I also have a free community, RSC free public community. There's over 1,000 plus members. We do 2 calls a week. There's a free course and a bunch more stuff in there. All this stuff has all the tools and then some to get you to 7 figures and beyond. And I do this, like I said, because maybe if you pull it off, I will partner with you and we will scale to much higher numbers. Anyways, let's get back into the video. So, framework step number 1.
The big plugs, you gotta love them.
Is you want to ask questions to uncover their problem, right? Because until you know what problem that you are there to solve, it's going to be hard to pitch, right? Imagine if, trying to sell a bottle of Tylenol.
So, spot on. Normally the first question that we'll ask in discovery call is like, hey, what's the biggest challenge for the business currently? One thing that it might be glossed over here, he might cover it at some point, is setting the frame of the call. Frame is going to be really important to set before you jump into like discovery questions. But 100%, like really the first step in your discovery is going to be uncovering what their problems actually are, like the biggest challenge within their businesses currently.
Before you know what symptoms your prospect has, right? Imagine trying to prescribe medicine to a client, to a patient, a doctor,
dude,
without understanding, what the problem is in the first place, right? You need to uncover what their problem is. And here's a pro tip, because I know a lot of you guys say, oh, well, my prospect doesn't tell me their problem, or oh, my prospect doesn't open up to me. Well, what you can say when you're dealing with a prospect like that is if your prospect won't tell you, say, and you want to have a kind of a curious tone to this.
Curiosity tone. Man's been listening to some Jeremy Minor.
Well for you. Is there anything you would possibly change about X, whatever, you're talking about, if you could? Is there anything you would possibly change about your client acquisition if you could? Right? Have a very curious George type tone to that. And usually they'll say, oh, well, there's this. Boom, you've uncovered their problem. And then you can go and continue the conversation in there. As if you've been following this channel for a while, I have a video that did okay considering my follower size or my subscriber count. I break down the sales script that I used to close 250 or over 250 different clients. I'll link that in the description. I do a full 30-minute breakdown of my exact script that I use. Framework, but I use script because I know people on YouTube are more likely to click the word script than framework because they just want the cheat code given to them. Anyways, that's a whole other topic of the discussion. Point is, I'll link what I did to sell people in the descriptions. You can check that out. There's a lot more details on this. Framework step number 2 is to fully customize your pitch to relate to your prospect's current situation. Okay. Now, you want to use kind of like statements to make your service understandable. And now, what a kind of like statement is let's say, for example, I'm an agency owner and I'm selling Facebook ads to realtors. Okay. So what an inexperienced salesperson would do is they would say, well, we're going to run Facebook ads and we're going to target this area and we're going to use dynamic creatives and we're going to run ads and we're going to target this age and we're going to target these type of all that stuff, right? But you forget one thing. Your prospect barely knows how to log into their own Facebook account, never mind understand how the Facebook ad algorithm works.
Yeah.
And it confuses.
So probably what he's going to go down here is essentially just using more analogies. This is something that is taught in a lot of sales trainings, is just having like back pocket analogies to dumb it down, like you're trying to explain it to a 7-year-old, right? So 100% like dumb the language down a little bit, because here's the thing, like these people aren't marketers a lot of times. Yeah, they might have some knowledge base and some chops, but for the most part, like you using acronyms and throwing marketing jargon at them isn't going to be the thing that impresses them. They need to understand what they're actually buying and understand that it solves the problem, not that you're just some whiz marketer, right? And you know all these words around marketing. So I get where he's going here.
Buyer will not buy from you, right? If they don't understand what they are purchasing, they are not going to pull the trigger. So you need to make your pitch so easy to understand that, literally a kindergartner could understand that. So if I was put in that situation and I was selling Facebook ads to realtors, I would probably say something along the lines of this. Well, bus bench ads, like those ads that people put on bus benches or something like that, and they usually advertise their like real estate services. Yeah. Okay, so what we do is it's basically kind of like putting a bus bench onto somebody's phone. Because think about it, like you're driving down the street, like how many times do people actually look at the bus bench ad? Rarely ever, right? But how many times are people on their phones scrolling through Facebook? All the time. So we're basically putting these bus bench ads onto people's phone where all their attention already is, so they actually see it and they actually can pay attention to it. And that's what Facebook ads is like.
I like that.
Now, can you imagine if you're a realtor and you have no idea of Facebook ads, or you have very little, maybe it's just a term that you know. Which one do you think they would be more inclined to move forward with? The person who talked about targeting and dynamic creatives and all this kind of stuff and funnels, or the person who made it so easy to understand that they felt confident in what they were purchasing? It's the second, right? And the last thing that you want to do is you want to give a live walkthrough of ad accounts, go high levels, funnels, etc. And the reason why I much prefer that you do this live is because when you do this live, it comes across as authentic. It comes across as genuine. It comes across as you are not, manipulating people, right? You're just saying like, hey, here's what we do, okay? Here's how it relates to your problem, right? First step number one is you relate your entire pitch to solving their problem, right? If they're struggling with appointments because without, getting more appointments, they're not able to sleep at night, right? Talk about how, well, we're going to make sure that you get good night's sleep, because without good night's sleep, you're not going to be able to take care of your family, right? How much more powerful is that than, oh, here's another 20 appointments guaranteed, right? Relate your service to solve their specific problem, just like the way Tylenol and Advil do, okay? Step number two, use kind of like bridges to make it almost impossible to not understand. Because if you confuse your prospect in any way, they are not going to purchase from you. And step number three is to use live walkthrough of ad accounts, go high level funnels, etc. to appear genuine, to appear transparent, be like, hey, this is just what we're doing, right? Here's how it works, this is what it looks like, and just be super honest and authentic. And I guarantee you, your transparency will be so well respected. And if you combine this with telling your stories, and I have a bunch of YouTube videos as well as my entire sales call breakdown on how to tell your story, I guarantee you, you will start to close an absurd amount of people. And the one thing that you must remember is increasing your closing percentage will make you more money than booking appointments and doing more outreach and posting content and any other metric that comes
depends what your
related
closing
to
is.
the sales process. It is by far the number one biggest lever that you can pull, and so you should take it extremely seriously. So with that, I hope with the time that you invested into watching this video, you got at least 10x the value in return. And
Really solid video. I'm not mad about it. I mean, once again, we talked about this when we were watching the Jordan Platten video. Is like there's these young gurus, man. They're teaching people how to run businesses, and like this is not a bad video by any means. I mean, the dude has some good frameworks that are working for him. He's just sharing it with other people. So hats off to this dude, Dylan Wilson. I gave him a little like on the video here. I'm not going to subscribe to him though, because I don't need any more agency content hitting my freaking algorithm. So not bad. I thought, honestly, I had very low expectations for that video, but my boy crushed it. Not too shabs. Maybe I'll get some views like he does one day. All right, guys, that's it for the Guru Gauntlet today. Both guys passed. Kind of wild. That's a first. Normally both videos don't pass the Guru Gauntlet. I just pick random ones, and if they pass, awesome. If not, we give them the axe. But overall, solid videos. Jordan Platten, and what was this kid's name again? Dylan Wilson. Dylan, keep crushing, bro. Keep crushing. All right, crew. We got some agency alchemy for you guys today. Last segment of the night. Excited to run through this with you guys. All about systemizing your SMMA And this is going to turn into a masterclass. So if you are watching this live, awesome. If you're watching the recording, awesome. We're doing a masterclass series on our YouTube channel, specifically on systemizing your agency. And basically, this is going to be a 5-part masterclass. And you guys are getting the first look at the first episode. It'll obviously this is the live stream format, so we'll be rolling this out as well. So if you see this video come out next week and you're like, didn't we just cover this? Yeah, we did. But we're going to start stacking it into masterclass. It's going to live in a playlist. That way you guys can find these things a little bit easier. But what's great about you guys being on Agency Therapy is that you get first access to any of the content that we're putting out into our masterclasses on YouTube. So excited to share this with you guys. And we're starting with the crucial client journey. That's really the starting point in systemization and where you have to start in order to start building systems for your agency. And we have some rules that we have to cover, okay, to building your crucial client journey. Number one, just being, hey, you got to focus only on one ideal client profile and one service to deliver. Okay. Now, if you're doing multiple services or you're delivering multiple services, this will expand eventually. But to get started, and especially if you don't have a lot of systemization in your agency currently, then this is where we're going to start. And this is where our focus is going to be, is on one ideal client profile and one service, because it's really hard to systemize multiple types of clients or multiple services all at once. So we're going to focus down on one, and then you can do this exercise for other clientele that you have if you're running multiple verticals, or if you have multiple services as well, you can go ahead and start systemizing those. But one at a time, we're going to knock down the first domino, and then hopefully the rest follow. Okay, second thing here. Second rule, do not overthink this, guys. This is simple. This is simple. This is simple. And if it feels simple and oversimplified, that's because it is. This is not a difficult exercise. The implementation on something like this should only take you about 25, 30 minutes at most. So it's going to be simple. It's going to seem like it's not going into a ton of detail. And that's our third rule, is that we're not adding detail at this level of our crucial client journey. Okay. We will add the detail later on. Okay. So do not add detail to this. This is to understand how clients flow through your client journey. Okay. And then from there, rule number 4, only use the crucial client journey for activities you are already doing in your business. Do not put things that you are not doing in your business. Do not add things in because you heard someone talk about it. Okay. Things that you're just actively doing in your business. That's what goes into the crucial client journey. If that makes sense, and if you guys are in line with that, drop a thumbs up in the chat. Okay. Now, let's cover it. Okay. So this is what the crucial client journey looks like. At the top here, we have our ideal client and our service being delivered. Okay. The ideal client side, it's just whoever your ideal client is. Yeah. And then the one service that you're going to plug in here and then have a good understanding of how it flows through the client journey. Okay. So that's the starting point. From there, we talk about leads in. So how do people hear about your service? You might be running Facebook ads. Well, actually, before we jump into like the types, but how do people hear about your service? Okay. Then from there, we talk about the discovery side of the business. Okay. So when someone is actually interested in working with you, how do they get in contact with you or your team to learn more about your service and be able to actually go through a discovery process? Okay. From there, what is the sales process? Do you guys do discovery call? Do you do a 1-call close? Do you do a 2-call close? Is there a proposal involved? What happens when a potential prospect is wanting to become a client, right? Or they have interest in becoming a client or learning more? What happens? Okay. From there, contracting and collections would be the next step. So you get them through the sales process. Like, hey, this sounds great. Let's go. So contracting and collection. So how and when do your clients sign a contract? And then the same question for how is the collection process done? How are you taking payment? Okay. How are you collecting credit card authorization? Are you doing an ACH transfer? Are they going to send you an envelope of cash? I wouldn't recommend that one, but how does it work? Okay. Contracting and collections. Then from there, after you've collected your contract, after you've collected your first month's invoice, what does onboarding look like? And how do your clients get started in your service? Okay. What does onboarding look like? And then after you get them onboarded, what does the ongoing delivery? how is the work actually completed by your team who is involved with that? But how is the work actually completed? Are you guys running paid ads, meta ads? Are you guys doing CRO work? Are you guys doing copywriting? And then lastly, we have the retention piece. Okay. How do clients remain clients? This one is always skipped over. Almost every agency that I've ever worked with has not had some sort of system in place to keep clients as clients, right? Normally it's like some like rolling 30-day notice where it's like, hey, like we do like a 90-day and then from there it rolls month to month. Worst way to build an agency. Do not do rolling month to month. I know it kind of feels like, oh yeah, like, it builds trust. No, that's not how it works. Okay. You do not want a rolling 30 days where they can just cancel at any time. It is going to ruin the projections of your agency. Also, if you ever want to be acquired by another business, another agency, a VC fund, or a private equity fund, you are going to need future cash flows because that's what's going to get you that fat valuation. So you need a system about how to retain your clients. Okay. And this is what it looks like. And you fill out those pieces here. And this is what an example crucial client journey would look like. Now, I want to come back here for a second is do not add detail. And if it seems simple, it's because it is. Okay. And this is just the first step. Remember, there's going to be a 5-part series to this masterclass. And so this is just the first part of systemization. So to give you guys an idea, this is what it looks like. So the crucial client journey, the ideal client is e-com brands generating $1 million a year. You can use a little bit more detail if you want to on that, but that was the ideal client that I plugged in here. Okay. The service that we're going to be providing is meta ads. Okay. You might be doing meta ads, email and retention, and CRO and creative, right? Just focus on one for now. Okay. Because it's really hard to systemize four different deliveries at once. Okay. So let's focus on one. Let's go a mile deep with it. Let's make it great. And then we can do the next one. Okay. Now from here, how do we attract our leads? Maybe you guys are doing some LinkedIn outbound. Maybe you're doing paid ads, referrals. Maybe you guys are posting organic content. Okay. And then from there, we're moving into discovery. Okay. Now I know, once again, this is very simple. I understand that it should be very simple. It should have a feeling of simplicity because we are just making an outline so we can go deeper into the systemization on the next piece. Okay. So leads in. From there, we're talking discovery. Okay. So maybe you run a website form and you move them directly into a call booking. Okay. Maybe there's another step in there along the way. Everyone does this a little bit differently, but maybe it's a website form to a call booking. Okay. After they do that, you move into your sales process. So maybe you do a 2-call close where you do a discovery on the first call, 15 minutes. Sometimes people call these like a triage call. And then the second call, which is more like the proposal call or the second call close. Maybe you're just doing a 1-call close. There's a lot of lead gen agencies that just do a 1-call close where they might do a short triage on the front end, 5-10 minutes. And then on the back end, they just do a straight second call close. So depends on the type of service. A lot of e-com agencies will do a 2-call close because there is a lot more information that needs to be dug up. Some people do an audit on the front end. So what does your sales process look like? Okay. At some point, I'm sure there will be follow-up in there as well, unless you are closing at 100%. And if you're closing at 100%, send me your link to your course because I want to buy it. All right. And then from there, we move into contracting and collections. So guys, this is relatively simple, contract plus invoice. But what we're going to do is we're going to systemize how we do our contracting and how we do our invoice and actually step that out. Okay. And then from there, we move into onboarding. So our kickoff call, project setup. Okay. What does that look like? How do you guys move people into your project management? What do communications standards look like? And what platform are you using for communication? What does your kickoff call look like? Okay, what is the process of your kickoff call or onboarding call, whatever you want to call it? Okay, but those are the 2 that I put in there for now as placeholders. And then the next one is going to be delivery. Delivery is just meta ads. A lot of this is not systemized unless you're running a lead gen agency, which systemization around meta ads is pretty consistent because you run things relatively similar. If you're doing e-com, really hard to systemize. Instead, we build out things called playbooks or best practices for meta ads, and your team has to kind of learn those best practices and be able to adapt their own strategy into those meta ads because there's really not one specific way on doing that. So it's best to have a playbook instead of a system or like an SOP for running meta ads. But normally in lead gen agencies, it's a pretty systematic approach to it. So you might have an SOP on how to set up ad campaigns or types of creative to use, things like that. Okay. And then lastly, retention. Okay, it's really just resign and off or offboard, right? So it's either they're going to stay with you, and what does that resign process look like? And we can dive into that in the second episode. But or do we offboard them, and what does our offboard process look like as well? Okay. Now, this is what we consider the minimum viable systems to really run an agency. And so this is the most critical systems inside of an agency. And if you guys are familiar with the Pareto principle at all, it is 100% going to apply here that 80% of your results will come from 20% of the causes. Okay. Now, same can be true about systemization. Of 20% of the systems you create will provide 80% of your efficiency wins. So if you can figure out this 20%, because here's the thing is there's a lot of nuances in between the cracks here. But this is about the 20% of the systems that will be the biggest needle movers for you inside of your agency. So if you can figure out the systems around these pieces, lead generation, discovery, your sales process, contracting and collections, onboarding, delivery, and retention, if you can systemize those things and systemize them well and be able to have all this available for a team for scale, then chances are the 20% that you create here will create 80% of the wins within the business, right? And so that's why we look at simplicity when we start to set up systems, is that we don't need to go into all of the nitty gritty. We just need the minimum viable things set up first. And then from there, we can expand into more of the nitty gritty details of systemization. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense so far, right? Now, quick recap here. And this is your homework if you're here on the live stream and you want to set up better systems in your agency. And if you want to come back next week, we'll be doing the next segment of this, which will be fun, is identify one ideal client profile that you want to build out. If you don't have this, I have templates for this as well. Identify one ideal service that you sell to a client. And then 3, share your client crucial journey with your team. Okay. And that's it. It's relatively simple. It's relatively straightforward. Don't expect a lot from this first step. This is laying the framework, laying the high level overview of how this works. We're not going into detail here, but we will go into detail later. But we have to set the foundation. We have to understand what the most minimum viable systems in our agency are and where we need to start building. Okay. And really from here, we just simply work down on our systemization. So how we generate leads, okay, from our LinkedIn outbound or our paid ads, referrals, right? We need to put systems behind this because we don't want to be the lynch or the bottleneck in our organization for the lead generation side. So let's systemize it. Let's pass it off to someone else and make sure that they can run it, right? Same thing with discovery, sales process, contracting, collections. This is how we get out of the day-to-day fulfillment, is when we can pass this off to team. And the only way that we can effectively pass this off to team is if it is systemized and documented well, so someone can take it over and run it as efficiently as you as the founder. Cool. So hopefully that makes sense. Guys, that's our agency alchemy for the day. I hope that's helpful. We'll be doing this masterclass over the next few weeks here. We have a couple episodes, and I might do a couple episodes in one because we're going to try and roll this masterclass out within the next 2 weeks or so, the full 5 episodes. So I'm really excited for this one, guys. I know we talk a decent amount on systemization. I mean, it's kind of the specialty with this channel, right? So I wanted to put together a masterclass, and I'm excited to launch this with you guys. But let me know if you guys have any questions on that. We can open it up for a little bit of Q&A. We got a little bit of time. We could jam. If you guys want to come hang out with me on the live stream, I can provide a link for you guys. You can come, jam, hang out. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to do. If not, we'll just end the stream 30 minutes early today. But that's what I got for you guys today. Thank you for coming to Agency Therapy. But we'll open it up for some Q&A for a second. Let's jam. Let's jam. Got the whole crew in here. Let's go. What do you guys got? Let's talk about it. Also, what do you guys think of this angle, this camera view right here? Pretty saucy. Just set this up today, actually. Peter, you got questions? Who else is in the chat? Got a couple people watching. Welcome in. Let me know if you're coming in from LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. I think it's streaming on all of them right now, or at least it should be. What you guys got for me today? Let's talk about it. Whoa, crazy. Wonder what it looks like when it's. Whoop. All right. Comments, questions, concerns, epiphanies, anything. Nothing. I'm giving it 30 more seconds because there is a stream delay. But if there's no questions, no worries. No worries. We'll jump into some questions on the next one. All right, crew. I'm not seeing any questions coming through, so we will end it there. I appreciate the time and attention. Where did my focus go? Come back. Hello, camera. I'm all blurry now. Shoot. Oh, well. It's the end of the stream anyway. All right, crew. Appreciate your time and attention. We will see you guys in the next one. We'll be back next week. We're on the regular cadence now, so mark it on your calendar. Okay, there's no excuse for not showing up each week. We'd love to see you back next week. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.